So now we will get to the presentations from the class reps, and we're going to start from 1940. If anyone wants to, if either of you would like to say anything, please come up, and then the representatives will say a few words, and then we'll go through the various classes. So.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm Rosalind Sternberg Willett. I graduated in June 1940, and the high school was quite different. We started, I came from a junior high, so we started at a furniture warehouse on 32nd Street, and it was a kind of grim place, which I traveled to from the North Bronx on the 3rd Avenue L. So I got off the L and looked up, and there was the Empire State Building. Couldn't have been a more inspiring view. But the high school was really 1 year there, and then 2 more years at 96th Street. Well, at the 32nd Street place, I was given the job, which I needed badly, of delivering the New York Times to girls who subscribed to the Times. And I got paid the munificent sum by the New York Times of $1 a week, from which they extracted a few pennies for Social Security. After that, I was told, in fact, at that place, by a gym teacher. There was no gym there. There was no cafeteria either. We shoved our paper bags, lunches, into the desks, and there was no gym. And one high school gym teacher, who had nothing else to do, told me I was the worst coordinated girl she had ever seen. And she said, I quote, "I do not understand how you walk without falling down." I have to say, I was scarred for life by that. Until I was in my 30s, I started taking modern dance and ballet to overcome that failure of coordination. Well, then of course we moved up to 96th Street, and some of you will remember that dilapidated place. It had been a public school and had been abandoned by the public school system because it was in terrible shape. Then it was given to a Hebrew school, and the Hebrews abandoned it. So, of course, it came to the elite girls of Hunter College High School. And we went there for 2 years, and you have never seen as many mice scampering around the halls as inhabited that place. But, otherwise it was okay. And I came out having to tutor everybody else in geometry, which was a foreign language, until we understood what it was about. And I came out with a Regent Scholarship, which was kind of a lifesaver, $50 a semester. It meant a lot then. Well, there were a lot of interesting teachers there. There was a Miss Blunt who sang before Pearl Harbor. She sang for our class the Japanese national anthem. There was Miss Verplank. Does anybody remember Miss Verplank? Miss Verplank was an elderly lady, the last of a long line of early Dutch settlers in a little town on the Hudson River named Verplank in the Hudson Valley. And Miss Verplank would corner a girl, making her stand up in the class and answer one question after another until she was reduced to tears. And that satisfied Miss Verplank enormously. But there were a few other ones. And I was on the newspaper, what's what. I was the feature editor, which was kind of amusing also. Miss Sebring, I think Mrs. Sebring was the faculty advisor. Well, that was Hunter High in my day, and I'm sure you're going to hear more about it.
Thank you. I'd like to tell you what happened to me. Just as I was getting ready to graduate, a doctor came to my mother. Could I come and work in his office 6 days a week for $7? And my mother told me yes. So she used to get the 5 and I used to get the 2. But 5 days after Pearl Harbor, I got a telegram. The Secretary of War invites you to come to Washington and work in the Adjutant General's office for $1,260 a year. I said, how did they get my name? Because you went to Hunter College High School. When I came back to New York, I was working in the VA here in Manhattan when World War II ended. I said, gee, they're going to give the GIs these jobs when they come home. So I went to the Red Cross and I said, could you please help me to find a job? Because I believe they'll be giving these civil service jobs to the GIs. They sent me out on an interview and was the tallest woman I had ever seen. She must have been 6'6" or 7. Are you from the Red Cross? I said, yes, I am. Come into my office. Where are you from? I said, New York. Well, where'd you go to school? I said, I went to Resurrection, then I went to Hunter. You went to Hunter? And they had the nerve to send you here? There's nothing but poor, illiterate trash here. You'd be miserable. She took me in and showed me it was a factory. The lights were so dim, if those girls are alive today, they'll be blind. So I thanked her, and I went back to tell the Red Cross I didn't get the job. She'd already called them. They said she told them she was going to canvass her friends and find a job that befitted my resume, but I never went back. They were advertising jobs on the television, on the radio, and I went to one of the places that was advertising. I took the test. The examiner said, you passed, and I heard a girl crying. When I turned around, it was a girl from another state. She did not pass the test. She was very upset. So I said to her, New York Telephone is advertising on the radio every day. She didn't know how to get there, so I took her down to 140 West Street. I said, well, I'm here. I might as well take the test. Thank God I did. She didn't pass that, but the examiner said to me, you have 100. What department do you want to work in? So I said, what's the difference? Accounting pays $21 a week. Commercial pays $19. I didn't know commercial was negotiating a contract and was going to make more money, so I went into accounting. But after a couple of years, I went into commercial. But while I was working there, I decided to get a part-time job on a Saturday, and I went to a department store. They sent me into the manager's office. You went to Hunter College High School? I said, yes, I did. He turned a picture around. Do you know this girl? I said, that's Ronnie Ravish. We graduated in the same class. So I got the part-time job. And I have to say, I'm glad I went to work for New York Tel, because if I'd gone to college, I wanted to be a social worker. And as a pioneer, I've achieved it. I have a few awards to show that I have been doing good deeds. And I'm asking God every day to please let me do a few good deeds before He calls me out of this world. I've traveled all over the world with the pioneers on Santa Goodwill trips, visiting children's hospitals, orphans, and underprivileged. And after going to Czechoslovakia, I go to every child in that hospital from 8 months old up, cancer, from Chernobyl. And those children weren't even born. But on a lighter note, we took a group of teenage boys in Czechoslovakia for a boat ride. One of the boys was following me all over the boat. So I said to the tour guide, why is that child following me? He heard I came from New York. He wanted to be an actor. He thought I could put him in my suitcase and bring him home. And he could see his name and lights on Broadway. So I said, you see those two girls by the window? Because the pioneers are from all over the United States, Canada, and Mexico. I said, you see those two girls by the window? He said, yes. I said, they're from California. Hollywood, here I come. So I'm glad that I did go to Marbella, and I came out the year before they broke up. And I don't know why they broke up. Oh, let me tell you all, since most of them are sitting here, the country that made me want to kiss the ground when I came home was Denmark. Whatever your income is, you have to give the government 50%. If you're on like our Social Security, the maximum there is $850 a month. You have to give the government $425. And you see so many people living on the streets. Oh no, they're not from Denmark. They came from Sweden to buy liquor. The tour guide told my grandson, who's my pioneer partner, that she lived here in New York for 20 years. When she retired, she went back to Copenhagen. She didn't realize the income she's getting from here, she has to give the government 50%. She wants to come back. I don't blame her. Oh, but let me tell you this. Something that's important, if you have any young people in your family that might travel. On one of my trips to Europe, I was in the American Counsel's office when 5 teenagers from the United States came to report. They left their passport, money, and ID in the hotel safe. When they went back to get it, gone. So when I came home, I got a neck safe, which I used to wear around my waist inside my skirt and my slacks. Only took it off in the bathroom to get in the bathtub. And I thank God I did that, because I was telling a lady on the bus that they're stealing canes, and that's something we don't expect. And a young lady sitting next to her said, that's not the only thing. My job sent me overseas, and I put my passport, money, and ID on the bed in my hotel room and went into the bathroom. When she came out, gone. She said it took 2 weeks to process the papers for her to get back home. And 2 months after she got home, she got a call from the police telling her someone using her passport was trying to sneak in. Age doesn't mean anything.
Thank you so much, class of 1940. So next will be representatives from the class of 1945, but if I could say one thing, we really do need to keep these speeches under 5 minutes. Great stories, but we want to be able to get lunch at 12. And we can... Okay, well, let's try to keep under 5 so everybody can get a chance. There's a lot of people who want to speak. So, class of 1945.
Hello, everybody. I'm Phyllis Flyer Cabot, class of 1945, and we welcome all of you to our 70th reunion. 45, will you please stand? Just stand and turn around. These women and I represent the combined classes of January and June of 1945. We lived through the Depression and World War II and the last years of the administration of Franklin Roosevelt. Our first speaker is going to tell you about what happened at Hunter just after World War II began. Her name is Joan Hollander, and she's going to tell you what the freshman, as a freshman, what she had to do. Joan.
I vividly remember Monday, December 8th, 1941. I never can use one of these. I vividly remember Monday, December 8th, 1941 of my freshman year. It was the day after Pearl Harbor was attacked. Our principal, Dr. Jean Brown, canceled all the afternoon classes, and the entire school assembled in the gym. We went up on the top floor. This was on 68th Street in Lexington Avenue. And we listened over loudspeakers to President Franklin Roosevelt's radio address, where he uttered the famous words, "December 7th, a day that will live in infamy." And he declared that we were at war with Japan. Classes were dismissed, and we all were sent home fearful of being bombed on the way home. And our 4 years were really marked by World War II. The Second World War was always part of every day that we lived. But we survived.
Everyone who wasn't in the military constituted the home front. That meant that all civilians were involved in some way too. Actually, everything about daily life changed. Military needs were given priority. Food, energy, gasoline, fats, electric power, all metal objects, etc., were subject to shortages and rationing. All consumer objects were in short supply. We wrote on both sides of the paper, saved aluminum foil, even from cigarette packs, stopped ironing clothes, and wrapped gifts in newspaper or paperbacks. Early news from the war fronts in Europe and the Pacific were grim. Many men were killed. England was badly scarred by bombs. Even as military mobilization was underway, U-boats were sighted off the shores of New Jersey and Delaware. Japanese balloons patrolled the coasts of Washington and Oregon. In short, these were scary times, and we were very fearful. Classes were taught at a fast pace based on completion of the assigned text or course of study. Lunch was eaten in the classroom, usually interspersed with discussion of current assignments. Not a second was wasted. It became even more important that we waste not a second when our hours were shortened because the waves were allowed to use our building on 68th Street the last couple of years of our tenure there. Lunch was eaten in the classroom, and we had to use that for part of our study. I've cut this short, so I'm flipping pages. We also formed groups of friends who socialized out of school, going to museums, plays, and maybe special dinners. News of the war was always in the background. We tried to ignore it as much as possible while keeping up with our grinding studies. We had to pass New York State Regents exams in each subject in order to get credit for completion. During our senior year, our thoughts turned to college applications, and we were required to take exams called college boards. As our high school days ended, the war in Europe was coming to a close. We experienced the death of President Franklin Roosevelt and glimmerings of the beginnings of the United Nations. I'm going to introduce now our class pinup girl, Shirley Barrow Levitt, was the person who, if you were on Facebook lately, on the Hunter High School segment, was the pictured in the chemistry lab. And we got an awful lot of response from people who are on Facebook. So here is Shirley. She's going to give us our final presentation.
Phyllis is my agent. Our class is very pleased to present as an annual gift. As an annual gift this year, an amount totaling approximately $1,500. There's some additional checks coming in right now. The reunion alone, just this reunion, resulted in $815 in class gifts. I now have 8 additional checks here, which haven't been received yet by the Alumni Association, so which total an additional $455. And I know it's going to go to good use here because we all have such wonderful memories. I might add, though, to your little history that some of us who were here during the war, us girls, had fellas who were fighting, and that made our whole experience in high school somewhat strange. We're at school, they're out on the front. It wasn't so much fun. Thank you all. Bye.
In closing, I just want to say that everything we really had to know in life, we learned at Hunter College High School.
Thank you so much, Dr. Duncan. You know what? I apologize. We have so little time. I hate to be the bad guy. We want to get through it. Can we keep it brief?
I will be very brief. I think that many of us went to Hunter. I think better? Yes. I think, actually, I probably could speak. No. When you went to Hunter High School and you became an educator after Hunter College, there were people who said they were button homemakers, and we were all women at the high school and at the college. When everybody else was taking hygiene, personal hygiene, we were taking home nursing, and we took courses that were specifically because we knew that it was a war. And what I want to say, my one greatest regret today is that Eleanor Roosevelt wasn't the president instead of FDR. And when I look around, I think the women were powerful, and we're still waiting, and that upsets me. I love the guys, and I made him blush before, because the first 4 people who spoke. So I love you.
Thank you so much. I really apologize. I apologize. It's 5 minutes per class, and I hate to be the bad guy. I know I'm going to make a lot of enemies today. So I apologize. Let him go? Okay, fine. I'm really sorry. Can you say
I am so glad that our school ended at 1 o'clock because that allowed me to go down to see Frank Sinatra and scream.